I've never done a what if video before, but here goes nothing. Let's break it down. Hey everyone, Bruce Gent Mode Anime here. Laundry Room Bruce, Monkey D. Gucci, New Ink, you know what it is. You know why you're here. Sorry about the audio issues in the last video, guys. I didn't realize my mic was picking up on the laundry machines back here, so I apologize about that quality then, guys. Sorry about that. So, moving on. Today I'm doing a bit of an off-the-cuff, and what-if video, theory video, just because I did a video on Narumiya Mei, sorry, and I wanted to kind of talk about the what-if that the series presents and gives us a taste of between what would have happened if Miyuki did accept Mei's invitation to go to Inashiro Industrial, and what would have happened and how his career would have played out differently if he went to the school. And what I find most intriguing about it is we got a hint of it with the invitational against the American team or the United States team. We got a kind of a snippet of it, but it's interesting to think about how in a high school setting, the full environment, how it would have been different. First, I have to wonder. Well, there's a whole list of things really. One, would Miyuki be the same person by his third year? Would he be captain by his third year like he is at Sato? How would he mesh with Mei's selfishness? And would he play his first year is a big question, but let's get into it. So let's start out. Miyuki, he does accept the invitation. He goes to Inashiro, and he's freshman, first year, arrives. Does he start over Harada, who is the third year in the beginning of the series for Inashiro, who catches for Mei? No, I don't think he does, barring injury, just because Harada is a great player, and he is recognized even by Mei himself. I don't see Miyuki catching for Mei until the start of their second year. Now that brings up the question, how would have Mei's career gone differently and Miyuki's respectively? And I think Mei wins nationals. I think him and Mei win nationals with Miyuki as starting catcher because, as somebody pointed out to me in my comments, thank you for this, I did not know, it slipped my eyes when I was reading that Mei pitched 13 innings against Hongo, and that's the reason they lost, because Hongo and that team had a pitching relay while Mei was just pitching himself, and eventually fatigue caught up to him. It happens. But with Miyuki, I think he would not only manage Mei's pitching and his condition and stuff like that, he is also an excellent batter, right? I feel like he would push the team over the edge and they would beat Hongo, and that's how that second year for them would go. He would start that year and they would go on and win nationals. That's just my opinion, because originally I thought Hongo had the edge on Mei in my previous video, like I mentioned, but like it was pointed out to me just how much of a monster Mei is in terms of his condition and what he did in those finals. So I appreciate you guys pointing that out to me. I never mind being corrected or showing new information. I miss things. It happens. I just like talking about this stuff, and sometimes things get by me. So I do appreciate when you guys in the comments do tell me things. But with that information, I would say they win nationals in their second year. Their third year. Now that brings in two hypotheticals. One, would Hongo Masamune, let's say they lost, right? That demon coach, as we see, would he concoct something? Would he get a better catcher for Hongo? Would he get the second best pitcher for? Would Komodai Fujimaki be able to beat them in their third year? I think, and this is where the hypotheticals get real good, the what ifs get real interesting. I think they would. Because let's think about this at its base. Miyuki doesn't go to Sato. Does Furuya go to Sato? Because he went to Sato because he heard about the great catcher that was at Sato originally. That's the reason why he went from Hokkaido, where Fujimaki is. He left there, he went to Tokyo because he heard about Miyuki. Does he go to Inashiro to play with Miyuki, but Narumiya Mei's there? I don't think Furuya is accepting sitting on the bench, especially after his middle school experience. I don't think he's giving up the chance to play baseball just for the chance to relay with MEI, maybe? No, I don't think. I think he stays in Hokkaido, and he goes to Fujimaki. And there, once especially if he, he did any amount of research. Obviously, he'd heard about Miyuki, so Furuya's not dumb. He might be airheaded, but, he's not dumb. I feel like he would think about it and go, wait a minute, they use a pitching relay. I would have a chance to play in games. And I feel like they would just use the combination of Hongo and Furuya if Furuya went to stayed in Hokkaido to win. To kind of overpower that situation. Then that brings up another question. Does Sawamura go to Sato? Because he went to that kind of invitation thing from the scouting lady. I'll put her name down here. I'm sorry, I'm bad with name, guys. She scouted him, brought him, and remember he had that pitching battle where Miyuki's like, I like his spirit. I'm going to catch for him. And that was sort of his impetus to go to Sato, because he's like, what can I do with this guy? If Miyuki's not there to do that, if it's no offense to Ono, but if it's like Ono, no offense, Ono, I like Ono. But, if it's Ono or someone like who doesn't have kind of Miyuki's charisma, his appeal, does Sawamura go to Sato? Does Sato get either of those two first-year pitchers that are leading their team right now? I don't think so. I don't think they get either one. I think Sawamura just kind of stays in his hometown, which would be kind of wild. And Furuya stays in Hokkaido and maybe joins the pitching relay for Fujimaki. That's crazy to think about, right? Our whole series kind of, and when you think about it, Miyuki is the emphasis or the progenitor of this series in a way, because his decision to come to Sato because of, seeing Chris Yu and things like that, seeing them play, made him join. That means that's why Sawamura and Furuya came to Sato. So if he doesn't go, neither of those two. So Sato, I don't see them making the playoffs. That's just my that's just my opinion. I don't see them making it. So now we have one other powerhouse school kind of out of the way. And actually, I just thought about this. Does Furuya experience the growth that he does, like he does at Sato, because his growth comes from rivaling Sawamura? Or does he grow even further? Because that demon coach, right? If he sees Furuya's potential and Furuya shows up, then he might be thinking, wait a minute, I can turn this kid into something too. And maybe Furuya flames out, or maybe that kind of tough love, that kind of intensity, where he's naturally more, he's in Hokkaido, so the weather doesn't bother him. He's already pitched in the snow, So it's maybe that being in that environment where greatness is expected of Furuya, and he's already hard on himself, maybe that fosters him too. We got to think about that. It might break him, but it might also result in exponential growth, because he's someone who expects highly of himself, and that environment is tough, and there's people there who can catch for him, who can play with him because the coach demands it. Now, again, the coach might break him just because, hey, Furuya, you need to control your control needs to be better. Don't touch a ball for a week, you dumbass. Like that stuff that coach does, right? We see him how harsh he is, and it motivates his players. At least motivates Hongo. At least it motivates him. Would it motivate Furuya the same way? That's just a side. That's a whole nother video I can make. I'm going to say that. I mean, that's a whole other video I can make just about Furuya and Sawamura for that matter. But that's showing you, this video. I'm trying to show you like how important Miyuki is to the story of Ace of Diamond, because his decision to decline Naramura MEI it results in the series, because our two first years came there, or not second years, but those two first years came because of Miyuki, both respectively. Now, whether or not, I believe they win the second year nationals, I believe that happens. The third year, maybe a new challenger appears, or maybe they repeat. It's not unheard of in baseball. I'm curious to see what you guys think. Let me know in the comments if they don't lose both, or if they win that second year and they win that third year again, because MEI is such a beast, as I've learned, and as we've been shown. Or does a new challenger appear? I'm curious. I think the exhibition match between the Wind City Youth and the Tokyo representatives showed just how great their chemistry could be, even just on the basic signs, nothing fancy, right? It shows how much of a powerhouse they could be. So the series tells us that this would have been really a powerful matchup, and it was better probably for the nation that they didn't get together, just because how broken it would have been, how OP it would have been. But it's interesting to think about. It's interesting to think about kind of the nature of a super team in a manga like this, or in any manga, really. We really don't see the notion of a modern day super team in manga, except maybe right now with Blue Lock, who have the 11 strikers in the kind of the facility and working against like, if you don't read Blue Lock but you're watching this video, which it happens, but you should read Blue Lock. But that's kind of going on right now, but it's a special circumstance. We don't really see manga really have super teams, except maybe Rakusen from Kuroko no Basket. That's probably the definition of a super team, where for some reason the three heavenly kings, the Forgotten Kings, the Uncrowned Generals, joined together, and then Akashi came, and they're in their second year, so that is sort of a super team. That's kind of the biggest example I can think of, but it's rare to see in a manga where players previous to, I guess, yeah, that's a better example. Rakuzen is a good example, but it's previous to the entering of high school, where we see the characters kind of in a flashback, or before they hit high school, say, hey, come join me, join him. These 5 guys are coming with me, you come with me. We'll all link up, run stuff. Just run the table. Just championships. It's rare to see that. Usually it happens by accident. Usually characters meet up and it's like, what, you're here? Think of Haikyuu. Think of B-Blues. It's sort of like that. It's rare you have kind of super teams. But I think it's interesting that the manga brings up the notion of it just a little bit. Or at least uses it as an example, too. Because those are all players that MEI respects, and they are good players, recognized by others in the series as well, themselves. They're not just scrubs. But it's interesting to see the notion of a super team. Other than that, guys, that's all I have. Like I said, this was just an off-the-cuff kind of discussion theory video I wanted to get out. I've been thinking about it since I made the MEI video. I appreciate all the love on that, by the way, all the discussion that's happening. Lots of good ones in the comments. I appreciate it. Also, for the thumbnail for this video, if you know the person who drew it, I tried to find it. It was on Pinterest. I tried to find it through Twitter, and the Twitter page was deleted or gone. If you know who drew this on the thumbnail, let me know. I like to credit your artists, guys. I always credit the thumbnail art that I get. I talk to the people if I can. Like I said, sometimes I use Google Images, but if you do know who drew it, you can find the artist, link me. I want to credit them. And if they don't want their artwork shared, which is valid, I'll take it down and give a new thumbnail. But just wanted to get that out there with the thumbnail of this video. If you like the video, guys, like, subscribe, please. I see a lot of people view my videos, but they don't normally subscribe, which I'd like to change. I'd like to talk more about this series. I know you guys enjoy it. I really appreciate the love that you're giving me. So, until next time, guys. Later.